Hi, I'm Kelly.
I'm Rich.
And we are Wanderbus Adventures. Today we are going to be correcting some of our electrics.
And we're going to be preparing some stuff for our walls. So it's all getting very real now. We've got loads of questions in this week's video too. Any comments and advice and tips and links really would be welcome.
Hope you enjoy.
Last week's video, we asked for some advice on running our AC cable and DC cable together. Any Sparkies out there, do give me a shout. And we thought that it would be absolutely fine to be able to go ahead and do that.
But wait, we have learned something new and we've now got to run these cables differently.
Our next job that we're going to tackle is the ceiling. So we filled lots of these pockets already up with the breathable wool insulation, which is great because it doesn't absorb moisture, but at the same time it allows it to evaporate if it does get wet. And what we're going to do now is try and limit all the thermal bridges that can happen by creating thermal breaks. So you can do that a number of ways, so far as we can make out. How we're going to do that along the ribs of the vehicle and down on these metal pieces is by covering it in closed self foam. So it's very thin foam and it's self-adhesive. We're going to use it to go over the ribs of the roof, because what we've noticed when we've been in here, when it's hot, these ribs are very hot. Insulation remains pretty constant. When it's cold, these get cold. And that could cause a problem when you have a van that's full of moisture, because if it goes up and goes through the screws or goes up and hits this through an air gap, that hot, humid air will condensate on here and then cause water droplets to happen. So you can combat that by essentially covering it with a layer of foam, and it basically creates a barrier between that and the wood that we're going to have underneath it. So there's no hot meeting cold, and we're limiting that across the vehicle. So we're going to use this stuff here, which is 50mm wide, to go over these ribs all the way down that we've already foil taped, and then we've got some thicker stuff to go over these pillars here. One strip on, really easy to go on. It sticks like I don't know what as well, which is fab. That should just give us that thermal break that we wanted. Might not be necessary, but we thought it would be a good idea. And then when we install our ceiling, we're going to be covering this over anyway. I'll just show you how we did that. Now we're just going to go over these other metal bits. First, we're going to Nanny and Grandad's. These cables here, we're planning on running them down the wall and along up to the fuse box or over to where all our Victron stuff will be over here. But we think we've come up with an idea which basically involves deconstructing this part and then putting it back together. So I'm going to take this board down, and then we're going to run conduit up along this beam for the 12 volt stuff, and along this beam for the two 40 volt stuff, and then bring it back down in over here. And then what that will mean is we won't have it running down this wall. Oh, Kelly's not going to like this. More foil taping to do once we've got this back up. Right, I'll be back up later. Just popped out during my break. Rip that down, but I've got to go back to work now, so I'll see you after work. Right, I'm just doing these little fits-ins. I'm using self-tapping metal screws. Go through here, just a quick sway, and these little nylon like P-clips to just hold it in, up and over the way, and help keep that conduit nice and snug, stop the cables from rubbing with each other, and we can separate the 230 and the 12 volt cables out. But yeah, we basically just spent the day separating our cable runs and putting the ceiling back.
It has been horrific. There's been swears. We didn't cry.
Been a tiring week, but we're getting there. But what we've ended up with is all of our 240 volt running separately now. And we've got it down either side of the roof, coming down in this conduit. And we've got all of our 12 volt stuff that was coming down in this wall, no longer in the wall. It comes over instead and can run down into the garage in this end wall. So it's all a bit neater. We won't have anything traversing the floor electrics wise. Which is important because that little area we're going to run some water pipe and some gas pipe. So we don't want to have gas, water and electrics running in the same place. So yeah. The day was hard, but we got it done. And the next day, we were reminded that it's just good to think of the little things that can keep you happy. So we made a little discovery in our back garden. I got up a bit later today and I just looked out in the garden. And we've got a new friend. Lily's upstairs watching it. She's collecting leaves.
Out collecting stuff for his nest in the day, isn't he?
Morning. That's weird.
I reckon that is a girl and it's pregnant because it's massive.
Yeah, it is massive. And I named it Spiky. Trying again. He's gonna fall. Be careful. He's slipping. He's slipping. You can do it! The spike! He did it!
Look!
There's a couple of bits and bobs that we need to run in the bus before we can put our walls up. But not many more things because we've made a conscious decision not to put things in the walls so we can easily access them. One exception though is the conduit that we're going to run for our diesel heater and warm air. Now what I've bought is some of this because I could get 10 meters of it for a lot cheaper than I could the foil stuff that comes with the diesel heater. This stuff here is a smaller diameter than what my diesel heater comes with, so I will need to make some sort of splitter. So this is 51mm stuff. My heater is 75. Looked into it, because of the run that I'm going to use for it, the reduction in diameter here won't cause a problem with my heater. Because there's going to be plenty of outlets for the air to escape. If it was a short run, it might cause sort of like a backlog of air from the heater, but it's going to be quite the opposite for mine. We're going to run quite a long length and have a fair few outlets in ours. So the first one, we're actually going to run up from the garage area in here, which is why I need to do it now. And it's going to come out just here in our bedroom area. So we've got an outlet for the bedroom, and then we're going to run it along the wall along here and all the way along behind the units to come out of the kitchen unit. And then we're also going to make sure that we have an outlet come out in our bathroom, which could be down in the bathroom area. The reason we want to do that is because, well, A, we want it warm in the bathroom on a cold day, but B, it can double up then as like a drying room. So lots of people have done this to good effect. I have got some questions around where I should put the vent though, because a lot of people have put it down very, very low, which makes me worry a little bit that water will get in there. So if anyone spotted any clever vents that would allow us to do that, or any ideas on the positioning of that vent when we do run it in through the wall, would be really good to know that. So yeah, any tips on that would be really welcome. Yeah, they're drilled out now. going to just spray them up. So I'll be able to put a fitting on for this smaller stuff, and then use the bigger stuff around the bus, and then have all of the vents so they all close off and that stuff anyway. But they're drilled now. I'm just going to spray them up so they don't go rusty. Interestingly, in the hole, let me show you in the hole. In here, you can see the outer skin of the bus. And the fact that from factory, it looks like Mercedes just leave it in e-coat. I'm just gonna take the burrs off the edges of this now and then paint it up, and then we'll come back to that at a later time. But it does look like that will be deep enough to run that. I'm gonna run some cavity wax in there as well whilst I can, because why not?
We are on the way to B&Q.
We wanted to have a look at what sink we were going to buy. This might seem like a trivial thing, but we haven't been out and about like this for a long time.
Being cool, right?
Ooh, look at plants.
The excitement. Not left the house for ages. This is the sink we are thinking of getting.
Big? Like humongous?
Yeah. It does take up quite a lot of room underneath, doesn't it, Ray?
Yeah, but I guess you can't have a deep sink without it
Taking up room. I like it.
You can get it in silver as well. They've got that in here to make the draining board big. It's nice and deep, has a built-in drainer and all these extra bits. We think it's the one. Let us know what you think. The rest of the voids were filled with recycled plastic bottle insulation by Lily. We also popped some of this over the 25mm foam board insulation on the back window. We then moved on to finishing the closed cell foam. But Lily and I have just been chopping up, well, just marking this up, and Lily's been practicing her lines, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you remember how wide these are? How many centimetres? 60 in total, isn't it? And then 15 each one.
Yeah.
Doing very well. And we figured out that this is about a little bit longer, about the size of Lily's bed. Self-adhesive, back off. A few more bits for this to add before we ply line next time.
We are coming up to be able to start on our ceiling. We have decided that we are going to do something a little bit different with a curved ceiling. So we're going to be using bendy plywood, but we think we know how we're going to do it, but we'd like to know if anyone has any recommendations, or they've done it themselves or seen any good videos of it. Let us know, please.
And just off the back of that, obviously we're going to want to treat the wood. At this stage, we think some of the wood will be protected to leave the grain. So any good recommendations of varnish or products would be really welcome. And likewise, we're going to need to stain some of the wood or paint it a different colour. So any recommendations on that would be really fab. So thank you for that. Any tips and tricks, answer our questions or even opinions will be really welcome.
Thanks as always for watching, and soon we will be starting those walls.
Have a great week, guys.
1, 2, 3,
Bye!